Dear seekers of peace, wisdom, and truth, welcome. I am humbled and grateful to be with you today, as we journey together through a unique path of reflection, the exploration of Buddhist themes in the stories we see on screen. Whether through movies or television, these visual stories often hold mirrors up to our inner world, and if we are mindful, we may recognize in them the very lessons taught by the Buddha over 2,500 years ago, as a monk. I do not indulge in entertainment in the way most people do, but I recognize the powerful role that storytelling plays in modern society. Stories carry energy. They shape our minds, influence our actions, and stir emotions within our hearts. What we take in becomes part of our consciousness. So today, let us look at what we are feeding our minds, and how, through awareness, even something like a movie can become a teacher. There is a beauty in Buddhist wisdom that transcends time and form. It speaks to suffering, to impermanence, to the nature of self, and it shows us the way out of suffering. This message has quietly found its way into the scripts of many beloved films and shows. Take, for instance, the story of The Matrix. While it is a science fiction film, its foundation lies deeply rooted in the Buddhist concept of illusion, Maya. Neo lives in a world he believes to be real, only to awaken and discover it was all a fabrication. This is not unlike our own awakening on the path. We live in a reality shaped by our desires, fears, and conditioned thoughts. But when we begin to meditate, to be still and look inward, we begin to awaken, to see the truth beyond form. There's a famous line in that film, "There is no spoon." This moment is symbolic. It reminds us that when we let go of our rigid perception, the world transforms. The Buddha said, "With our thoughts, we make the world." In mindfulness, we do not seek to control the spoon or the world, but to understand the mind that perceives it. Another example is the film Groundhog Day. Each day, the main character wakes up to the same morning, again and again. At first he is angry, then indulges in pleasure, then falls into despair, but eventually he grows. He learns compassion, he finds joy in serving others, he becomes mindful of every moment. And only then does the cycle break. This is the wheel of samsara, the endless cycle of birth and rebirth, suffering and craving. Until we let go of attachment, until we learn love and wisdom, the cycle continues, but transformation is possible. As we change inside, so too does the world outside. I remember a young man who came to the monastery. He was grieving. His mother had passed, and he was lost in sorrow. One day, while sitting with me, he said he kept watching a movie called Coco, a film about remembering the dead. He wept as he spoke about how the movie helped him hold on to his mother. I told him this: in Buddhism, we do not cling to those who have gone, but we honor them by living well. Grief is natural, it is part of our love. But let it not bind you to the past. Let it open your heart to the present. That young man began practicing metta, loving kindness, each day. He offered his prayers to his mother. Slowly, peace returned to him. Even animated movies can carry the seeds of Dharma. Fu Panda tells of a clumsy panda who becomes a wise warrior, not by changing who he is, but by accepting himself. In the end, the secret of power is nothing external. It is belief in oneself. This is like the Buddha's teaching on the inner refuge. Be a light unto yourself, he said. Do not seek outside for what already resides within. There was a time when I visited a school and spoke to children about mindfulness. One little girl raised her hand and said, "I saw a movie called Mona, and when she listens to her heart, she finds the way." I smiled. That too is Dharma. The path of truth is found when we listen deeply to our own stillness. Movies like these can awaken something inside even the youngest minds. Do you know the tale of the TV series Avatar, The Last Airbender? It tells of a boy who must bring balance to the world. The series is rich with Eastern philosophy, meditation, and the elements, earth, air, fire, and water, which echo the Buddha's teachings on the physical world. And the main character learns to balance his emotions, to choose peace over anger, to forgive rather than seek revenge. Is this not the path we two walk? One of the most powerful episodes involves Aang learning to let go of someone he lost. The guru tells him, "You must learn to let her go." This is the essence of non-attachment. We love, we lose, but we do not grasp, because to grasp is to suffer. And to let go is to be free. Sometimes people say, "But Venerable, these are just movies." And I say, what matters is not what we watch, but how we watch. If we are mindful, anything can become a meditation. Even the flickering images on a screen. A woman once told me that watching The Pursuit of Happiness gave her hope. She saw how the main character struggled, yet never gave up. She began applying mindfulness to her own struggles, breathing deeply, staying present, and showing gratitude even in difficulty. Slowly, her despair turned into faith. That is the power of inspiration when joined with practice. In Buddhist practice, we cultivate the 4 Brahma Viharas: loving kindness, compassion, empathetic joy, and equanimity. These qualities are found in many stories. A movie like Pay It Forward shows how one small act of kindness can ripple into a wave of goodness. This is Dana, generosity, the first perfection. Even the quiet moments in nature-focused films, when characters sit under the stars, or find peace in a forest, reflect the Buddha's own journey. He sat under a tree to awaken. He walked among nature in silence. In our modern lives, we are surrounded by noise. But the screen can sometimes remind us of silence. And that silence, when embraced, can become a doorway to mindfulness. I once sat with a teenager who told me how a scene from Inside Out helped her name her emotions. She said, "I didn't know it was okay to feel sad." That is wisdom. The Buddha never said to reject our emotions, but to see them clearly. 2. Sit with sadness like a friend and watch it rise and fall like the tide. Everything is impermanent, even our feelings. And when we know this deeply, we are no longer ruled by them. Let me tell you a story, not from a movie, but from my own experience. A young man was addicted to television. He would watch for hours, numbing himself. When he came to the monastery, he said, "Venerable, I feel empty." I asked him, "What are you watching for?" He said, "To escape." I nodded. "But if you stop running and look at what you're escaping from, what do you see?" He was silent. That was the beginning of his healing. Mindful viewing means we engage with what we see, not as a distraction, but as a reflection. It means pausing, breathing, and asking, what is this teaching me? Is this feeding peace or feeding craving? When we become aware of our consumption, of media, of thoughts, of emotions, we begin to practice real mindfulness. The screen then becomes a mirror, and what we see can help us grow. I encourage you, the next time you watch something, to breathe. Sit with your back straight. Watch with your whole presence. And when something stirs your heart, smile. That is your wisdom awakening. May you continue to walk the path of awareness. May each story you encounter be a chance to deepen your understanding. And may the teachings of the Buddha, of compassion, insight, and letting go, light your way. If you found this sharing meaningful, I invite you to support our mindful community. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Buddha's Wisdom. It is a space of calm, reflection, and truth. A home for all who seek the way. Thank you for listening. May you be well. May you be peaceful. May you be free.